Hi, it's me. My name's Orwin. I'm a transgender female. My pronouns are she, her. This is gonna be a fun video. Now, this is something that absolutely pisses me off more than almost anything, so trigger warning to some people in the audience who are sensitive to certain subjects. This video is about LGBTQ oppression and hate in America. I'm specifically going to be talking about different bills that have been passed and the way the government is handling this. I'll react to a couple of shorter videos in here, talk about specific bills, why they're wrong, certain things like that. So, without really talking too much, let's just go ahead and get into this. The first bill we're going to be talking about is SB 219. It is currently still in the court, but it is being heavily favored and likely will be passed. It's being passed in Alabama. And it's basically what SB 219 does is it prohibits all gender-affirming care for trans youths. And most of the bills that we're going to talk about are specifically targeting transgender individuals, while other parts of the LGBTQ community, gay, lesbian, bi, trans, non-binary, or trans, you know what I'm saying. Anyways, while those still do face oppression, it's mostly the transgender community that is experiencing a lot of very, very hot and targeted hate from the government right now. And what SB 219 is going to do is completely deny all gender-affirming care for people under the age of 21 in the state of Alabama. Meaning that, since I'm a transgender female, I do not live in Alabama. I will not state where I live, but I do not live in Alabama. But what that would mean is that if I did live there, if I wanted to go on hormone therapy, give myself a higher voice, a body I'm more comfortable with, give me a higher estrogen amount rather than the testosterone amount that I have, then I simply would not be able to. And let me tell you, dysphoria. Let me talk about dysphoria for a minute. Dysphoria is something that a lot of non-binary and trans people experience. It's basically an extreme hatred and discomfort in your own body, specifically related to the parts of you that determine your biological sex. It's generally referred to, the main three things are voice dysphoria, top dysphoria, and bottom dysphoria. Voice dysphoria is where, like, I have a very deep voice, as I'm sure you can hear. I have a very deep voice, and I don't get much dysphoria from that. Dysphoria varies from individual to individual. Some people may not even experience it, but the way it feels will vary, and to what degree will vary from person to person and individual to individual. Voice dysphoria is basically when you hate the sound of your own voice, because for me, I believe that my voice should be more feminine. I personally don't have a very strong... Voice dysphoria never hits me very hard. It does hit me a little bit every once in a while, but it isn't very bad. It's easy to manage for me. But some people can get it really, really rough. Top dysphoria is, your chest. I wear breast forms when I go out in public to, make it look like I have breasts. I'm assigned male at birth. Obviously, I do not have breasts, and I won't have them I won't have them unless I decide to start taking estrogen, go on hormone replacement therapy, And for me, dysphoria manifests more as just an extreme, mental discomfort. Some people experience it physically, I experience it mostly mentally. Top dysphoria is the worst for me. And It's like looking at myself in the shower, or like looking at myself in the mirror when I undress to get in the shower or something. Sometimes it makes me want to cry because I have a flat chest. I don't have breasts, and I should. So it can cause a lot of problems. And then it's basically the same thing for bottom dysphoria, but concerning the genitals. I do get pretty bad bottom dysphoria sometimes, but my top dysphoria is by far the worst. Dysphoria sucks. To ban gender-affirming care is to put a lot of people in extreme distress and risk a lot of issues. 42% of transgender individuals have claimed to have suicidal ideations because they can't get the care that they need. So, to ban gender-affirming care, hormone replacement therapy, and surgeries alike is to increase the suicide rate among transgender individuals by a drastic amount. Let that sink in. You ban this healthcare that these people need, that they genuinely need, you're going to have people killing themselves left and right. SB 219 has sat inactive in the House for quite a while. The last action was on March 10th of 2020, so hopefully nothing more comes of it I was about to say at this moment, but at all. Hopefully nothing more comes of it, and it either gets vetoed, shot down, or just, like, left to rot. Hopefully it's just forgotten about. One way or the other, it doesn't seem too likely that this one is going to go through, considering how frequent the updates were on that. It was going through just like so many different legislations constantly, just jumping around. It was pretty rapid, and then on March 10th of 2020 was the last action. It is now April 11th of 2023. So it's sat inactive for a very long time, and it was referred to another house for the Committee on Health and Public Health Care, and nothing came of it. The next bill we're going to talk about is HB 35, or House Bill 35. This one has been passed. Also in the state of Alabama, in fact. Apparently not a great place for people like me to live. But what this one does is excludes transgender people and non-binary people from playing on the sports team of their choosing because of their biological sex. For example, me, a trans female, if I wanted to play on the women's tennis team, I couldn't. I would be forced to play on the men's team, even though I am not a man. I am a woman, and I am proud of that fact. So, I'm not going to dwell too long on that one, because it's relatively simple, but it is in effect, and it is active in the state of Alabama. House Bill 509 in Idaho has been signed by the House and the President alike. This one disgusts me. In the state of Idaho, I would not be allowed to legally change my name from my dead name, another term for my birth name that I've since changed my name from, to Orwin, my preferred name. I would not be allowed to legally change my name to something that puts me in a better state of mind. Every single time I hear my dead name, anxiety, anger, guilt even sometimes. I don't know why the guilt comes in, but it does anyways. Someone's chosen name is a very, very important thing. Saying someone's name is the smallest sign of respect you could possibly give someone, and to have that denied is hellish. House Bill 7 in Alaska. This is concerning the sexual education taught in schools to students. I'm just going to go down the list of the things that it says. I've got the full text pulled up of the complete document. First thing that it says is that it must be taught in Alaska that the life of an unborn child begins at conception. I'm not going to get into pro-life and pro-choice shit here. This is about LGBT stuff. I just wanted to make the point to give you an idea of what this bill is going to be like. And keep in mind, I don't remember if I've said this already, but this bill has been passed and is active in the state of Alaska. This bill also says, and I quote, let me read this to you right here. This is sort of scary. Okay. Information regarding the involvement and responsibility of males and females in making decisions about sexual activity, abstinence from sexual activity as the preferred choice for unmarried students because it is the only 100% effective way to prevent pregnancy and sexually transmitted diseases and infections, which I totally agree with. That is 100% true. And it is effective in preventing the emotional trauma associated with adolescent and teen sexual activity. Alright. I've got some things to say about that. Do what you want to do. If you are at or over the age of consent, do what you want to do. It didn't say that that was illegal, but that is what should be taught to these students. It's not saying that adolescents couldn't have sex before marriage. Keep in mind the use of the word unmarried. It's talking about unmarried people and teens and adolescents. And also emotional trauma. This may not be exactly the right place to say this, but while I do have sexual trauma because of somebody else, it was completely non-consensual, it doesn't relate to this bill. While I do have sexual trauma, I have had sexual experiences that had nothing to do with emotional trauma. If you are in a safe environment, you feel safe with the person you're doing that with, and you're being safe about it, and there's consent and safety and comfort on all sides, what sort of trauma are they talking about? This same exact bill, I'm going to read this to you again, direct quote. This says, "This may not include instruction in or advocacy of the intricacies of sexual intercourse, sexual stimulation, or erotic behavior," which is okay. It's basically saying don't give all the details. It's basically saying, like, don't explain how you give a blowjob. Stuff like that. But then, may not include instruction in or advocacy of homosexuality or gender identity or expression, or the use of contraceptive methods or devices. Okay. They are not allowed to talk about homosexuality. It's like the Don't Say Gay bill. They're not allowed, well, that got southern. They're not allowed to talk about gender identity or expression. They're not allowed to talk about these kids being who they want to be. Okay. Yeah. And they're not allowed to include instruction in or advocacy of the use of contraceptive methods or devices. They are not allowed to advocate for protection during sex. I just realized I'm digressing. We're getting into other stuff in this bill that I'm getting pissed about that doesn't have anything to do with the main topic. Let's move on. Now we're gonna get into one that scares me more than any other. I'm gonna read you a list of states that are considering forcing transgender people to medically and legally detransition. Alright? And then in a minute I'll explain to you what that means. Tennessee, South Dakota, Alabama, Florida. Those are the main ones that I'm seeing. Kentucky, Oklahoma, Indiana, Michigan. There's a lot about South Dakota on here. Iowa, Utah. Did I already say Tennessee? Well, there's Tennessee. Yeah. It's goddamn scary. So, what is detransitioning? If I had surgeries, at some point, I'm going to get top surgery to give me breasts. I don't know about bottom surgery. That's a much more complex surgery, and I have a phobia of procedures. But I'm going to get top surgery someday. But anyways, let's say if I'd gotten top surgery and bottom surgery and had taken hormone replacement therapy, I would be legally required to change my name back to my dead name, which I'm not going to say. Nobody needs to know that. I'd be legally required to change my name back to my dead name through legal documents. I would be legally required to go through hormone replacement therapy again to rebalance my testosterone levels to what they were prior to my first time with hormone replacement therapy. And I would be legally required to get procedures to undo the gender-confirming surgeries I had already undertaken. The trauma, the absolute fucking trauma, is unreal. Can you imagine what that would be like? To get all this shit done, finally be able to be more comfortable in your body and who you are, and then your state passes a law that makes you undo all that shit. Yeah. I told you I'd be getting pissed in this video, I'm so sorry. But I'm not gonna say what I was about to say, because that would get really dark. It would be very, very bad. We're gonna move on to another way of doing this. I'm gonna react to a couple of videos. We're gonna move on to one that has a little bit of a more positive overtone to it, to start with. So let's just go ahead and look at this one.
This legislature collectively decides that legislating hate against children is our priority.
Okay, so this is a Democratic Party member trying to block anti-trans bills. It sounds like the specific bill that they're talking about is, oh, this one's recent, February 24th, 2023. It sounds like this one, the bill that she's talking about, is specifically targeting trans youth.
That I am going to make it painful for everyone. Because if you want to inflict pain upon our children, I am going to inflict pain upon this body. There's not a
I like this girl.
bill on this agenda, on any agenda coming forward, that will be spared. Every bill will go to cloture.
That's Nebraska State Legislator Michaela Cavanaugh, who is grinding the state's only legislative chamber to a halt as a means of stopping legislation proposed by conservatives in that state that would ban gender-affirming care for trans youth.
Good for her. God. So that was a pretty potent video. She was evidently very against that, and I'm glad for that. Yeah, we need to get our shit together, America. If you're trying to ban this healthcare that is essential for us to accept ourselves sometimes, I'm not saying it is in all cases, but for us to be able to be happy in our own bodies and be happy in our own identity and be happy in who we are, if you want to cut that off, that is sick. Here's the next one.
The Kentucky General Assembly passing a sweeping anti-trans bill. And the WHS 1119 was there in Frankfort for the vote tonight. The bill bans gender-affirming medical care for minors, allows teachers to ignore a student's preferred pronouns, and trans students from using the restroom tied to their gender identities.
Sick is exactly what that is. Bans gender-affirming care. I've already touched on that. I'm not gonna go over that again. It's just gonna make me more angry. Allows teachers to ignore preferred pronouns. Being misgendered hurts every bit as much as being dead named. That is disgusting. That is exactly what that is. That is disgusting. And bans trans students from using the bathroom tied to their gender identity. I use the men's bathroom because I have a masculine build and a deep voice, and I would not feel comfortable being seen in the women's restroom, although that is the one that I wish I could use. When I can, I use a gender-neutral restroom, but my school does not. Actually, they do have one of those, but it's on the other side of the school, on the first story, and I'm on the third, so I'm not going down there every time I go to the bathroom. But anyways, I'm so tired of bills like this, and I'm so tired of making this video. But, you know, I gotta talk about what I gotta talk about. But, because this is a problem. It's a really big problem. Bans trans students from using the bathroom tied to their gender identity. Why is it a problem if they do? They're going in there to go take a piss and get out. Let them do what they want to do. It doesn't hurt anybody. Anybody. At all. It doesn't. Let them do what they want to do. To force somebody to use a bathroom that they do not identify with the gender assignment of is yet another source of dysphoria. And another form of misgendering as well.
WHS 1119's Connor Steffen and photojournalist Elijah McKenzie have the emotional reaction.
Despite the desperate cries,
I'm embarrassed and I'm appalled and I'm scared. I won't know.
And impassioned pleas.
How dare you? You're gonna kill kids.
I like that guy. That's exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna kill kids.
The blood will be on your hands.
Kentucky GOP lawmakers succeed in getting anti-trans legislation to the governor's desk, where it's expected to be vetoed.
Shame on you. I would thank you for your time, but I am honest to God so embarrassed, ashamed, and for the first time in my life, I wish I was not a Kentuckian.
It's hard to put into words.
Good. If you live in Kentucky and you're trans, please be careful.
It's just how fast.
I don't know specifically what bill they're talking about, and when was this video uploaded? 3 weeks ago. I don't know if it's been passed yet or not, but even so.
Moving this bill was. During a surprise Senate Education Committee vote, Republican Senator Max Wise and Representative David Meade blindsided everyone, reviving what was thought to be a dead Senate Bill 150.
There's evidence that this is harmful to children.
There's evidence, yeah. It is harmful to children.
That's our job, is to protect children, and that's what we're doing here.
The new expanded version includes far-reaching measures. It would have school districts.
Oh wait, was he saying that using their chosen bathroom is harmful? I don't know. I can't tell. Anyways, you know my opinions.
That's what we're doing here.
The new expanded version includes far-reaching measures. It would have school districts create explicit bathroom policies, forcing trans students to abide by their biological sex. It also bans gender-affirming care for anyone in Kentucky under the age of 18. That's both surgical procedures and non-surgical procedures.
We are attacking a group of vulnerable people, as we're calling late meetings,
That's exactly what they're doing.
and sneaking bills in. This is not good government.
The director of Planned Parenthood told me this bill is the farthest reaching anti-trans legislation in the entire country. Supporters say it backs parental
If
rights.
you watched the committee or were in the committee, you would have seen the testimony from certain doctors and certain mental health professionals. So yes, there were some consultants.
But opponents believe it will lead young queer Kentuckians to leave the state or worse.
Please think about a kid that you know. Think about how you would feel if a kid you knew couldn't get access to medical care and they came home and you found them dead.
The General Assembly
I don't have any words for that. These bills are some of the most revolting things I've ever heard of. This is why I don't watch things like this. This is exactly why I don't watch things like this.
will have time to override any vetoes. Lawmakers return for that in 2 weeks. In Frankfort, Connor Steffen for the WHAS 1119.
The Kentucky Democratic Party calling it a Frankenstein bill tonight. More reaction from Kentucky Congressman Morgan McGarvey of Louisville saying this is so miserable, mean, and misinformed. The Republicans had to sneak it through late in the session despite having supermajorities. And Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg tonight sending encouragement to the LGBTQ community saying, "I share your anger and despair. We will keep fighting and ultimately win."
Good. Good. I gotta wrap this up here. This is really stressing me out. It's trying to get under my skin. But thank you for watching. Say what you want to in the comments. Hate me. Hate other people. All you want. Good luck changing anything, though. And to my LGBT friends and family out there, and to any other members of the LGBT community, please be safe and know what you're doing. I'm so proud of all of you. You're still here. You've won 100% of the battles you've been in. You've never lost. You're still here. Don't end that shit. You have a 100% victory rate, okay? You keep this shit up. You be who you want to be, and don't you dare apologize for it. Please, everybody, stay safe.